Dinar Shift. The global financial landscape is once again experiencing tremors, not from Wall Street or London, but from the heart of the Middle East, with loud whispers surrounding the Iraqi dinar. The air is thick with anticipation and speculation about a potential currency shock forming right before our eyes, fueled by the complex interplay of Iraq's oil-driven economy, its relationship with the US dollar, and a sudden resurgence of talk about Tier 3 funding. This mysterious term, circulating widely in specific online communities, is being interpreted by many as a secret precursor to the long-awaited Iraqi Dinar RV, a revaluation event that has been the focus of fervent hope and discussion among international investors for over a decade. The sheer intensity of this renewed buzz demands a sober examination to distinguish between verifiable facts, plausible economic reforms, and the inevitable surge of rumor-driven momentum. What is driving this massive wave of current excitement, and how much of it is anchored in tangible reality? The narrative centers on a series of behind-the-scenes economic and financial developments in Iraq which enthusiasts are now connecting to this concept of Tier 3 funding. Understanding the truth requires us to look beyond the hype and analyze the infrastructural and monetary steps Iraq is demonstrably taking to stabilize and modernize its financial system in 2025. It is crucial to dissect the claims being made against the backdrop of real-world policy shifts and international financial coordination. For anyone monitoring this situation, gaining a clear understanding of every angle is essential for responsible and informed observation during a time when global markets are highly sensitive to signals of major geopolitical and monetary shifts. The focus of intense speculation, the Iraqi dinar, continues to draw global attention primarily because of Iraq's colossal oil reserves, which represent one of the world's most significant natural economic stabilizers. Many analysts agree that this fundamental asset base should, in principle, be capable of supporting a much more robust national currency. However, decades of historical challenges, including conflict, international sanctions, systemic corruption, and underdeveloped banking infrastructure, have kept the dinar pegged at a relatively low rate. This persistent gap between potential and reality has transformed the hope for a significant revaluation into a legendary, almost mythical topic within dedicated investor circles, fueling an entire ecosystem of online forums, chat groups, and private discussions. Whenever the government or the Central Bank of Iraq announces an upgrade to banking policy, engages in high-level coordination with international financial bodies, or introduces new economic regulations, the discussion forums inevitably erupt with fresh speculation, instantly labeling each development as the definitive sign that the RV is finally upon us. These communities are hypersensitive to any perceived movement behind the curtain, interpreting routine but necessary reforms through the lens of a looming currency reset. The year 2025, in particular, has seen this speculative energy reach a fever pitch, driven by widespread, though unconfirmed, reports claiming that this so-called Tier 3 funding has gone live. The notion of Tier 3 funding in this context is what has launched the recent market excitement, but it must be approached with extreme caution. It is critical to recognize that no official government or Central Bank of Iraq statement has ever confirmed that a global currency revaluation event, as defined by community speculation, is officially in progress or imminent. The genuine excitement originates from palpable progress in economic reforms, the forging of stronger international banking relationships, and a concentrated effort to transform the dinar into a respected, credible global currency capable of stable international exchange. Iraq's documented pursuit is a stable and financially integrated future. The actual extent and timing of any currency adjustment tied to this progress remain the primary subject of intense debate and mystery. To demystify the core rumor, let's explore this concept of Tier 3 funding that has caused such an undeniable global ripple in the speculative community. Within the highly specific and often rumor-driven vernacular of certain high-stakes or asset-backed investor groups, tier levels are occasionally employed as unofficial descriptors for various tranches or phases of funding linked to highly structured assets or exclusive wealth programs. The community-defined interpretation of a Tier 3 phase in the dinar narrative is the idea that vast institutional investors or specialized financial consortiums are in the process of securing the necessary capital or collateral that would be released to support a future, substantial currency operation, specifically a revaluation. It is absolutely vital to stress that this Tier 3 terminology is essentially a grassroots community-driven concept. It is not recognized, endorsed, or utilized as an official designation by any major global financial regulator, nor is it part of the official public policy framework for any documented Iraqi dinar program. Its popularity stems from its utility as a simple way for non-official sources to explain what they perceive as significant behind-the-scenes financial maneuvers. However, the excitement it generates is not entirely unfounded, as it coincides with real, observable improvements in Iraq's core financial infrastructure. The observable facts fueling the excitement are clear. Iraq has been diligently upgrading its digital banking platforms, enhancing its connectivity to critical international communication networks like SWIFT, and implementing more rigorous central banking policies aimed at governance and compliance. When such a series of foundational modernization efforts occur concurrently, it acts as a powerful catalyst for speculation, causing the belief in an imminent RV to skyrocket. These actions, by themselves, are designed not to guarantee an immediate revaluation, but rather to construct the robust, transparent, and compliant financial infrastructure that is a prerequisite for a stronger, more internationally accepted currency in the future. Seasoned financial market observers and Forex watchers are paying very close attention to Iraq's methodical institutional changes. In the world of high finance, truly major shifts rarely begin with a sensational press conference. They often commence quietly, through the gradual strategic accumulation of economic strength. When a nation demonstrably stabilizes its economy, strengthens its foreign currency reserves, establishes tighter monetary control, increases financial transparency, actively combats inflation, and expands lucrative international trade agreements, it sends undeniable signals to the world's major institutions. Iraq has recently initiated decisive anti-corruption measures, worked to minimize the volatile disparity between the official and black market dinar-to-dollar exchange rates, and upgraded its central banking tools specifically to diminish illicit currency trading. Each of these steps, taken individually, contributes a slow but measurable boost to global financial confidence in the Iraqi economy. Crucially, the substantial and consistent revenue flowing from Iraq's dominant oil sector provides the central bank with the necessary foreign currency reserves and economic leverage to defend and manage its monetary value, effectively boosting its bargaining power on the international stage. When all these strategic elements align, analysts recognize a pattern that has been observed in other developing economies that successfully executed controlled repegging or revaluation events as part of a post-crisis recovery. The crucial distinction is that while this development confirms Iraq's intent to secure a more powerful position in global markets, it does not provide any guaranteed timeline or confirmation of a sensational, immediate dinar revaluation. The Iraqi dinar story is uniquely charged with emotion, a characteristic that must be factored into the present speculative momentum. For well over a decade, a global community of hopeful retail investors has held a firm belief that the dinar could eventually return to an exchange rate much closer to its value before the waves of war and economic collapse began. Many of these individuals purchased and have held physical dinar notes through years marked by endless rumors, unfulfilled predictions, cyclical hype, and frustratingly long periods of official silence. This experience has fostered a unique investor community bound by shared patience, ambition, and occasional disappointment. When a significant new development is rumored, especially one connected to the high-level world of international banking and reserve management, like the Tier 3 claims, the resulting surge of excitement is often immediate and overwhelming, like a financial storm brewing in an instant. This emotional response highlights a fundamental truth about market dynamics. Market psychology itself can become an incredibly powerful force. When a vast and dedicated community of investors focuses its attention on a single asset, the resulting collective confidence and speculation can, even in the absence of official news, influence trading volumes and pressure institutional analysts to respond. We must remain clear-eyed and honest. The term RV or revaluation is inherently controversial and polarizing. It has been recklessly promoted by some with claims of unrealistic overnight riches, while others legitimately warn of potential scams and market manipulation. The most responsible, factual viewpoint is that a national currency revaluation is exclusively a sovereign governmental decision. It requires a complex framework of legal enactments, extensive international agreements, and highly visible official announcements. Such monumental financial changes cannot happen in complete secrecy. Any source or claim suggesting the event is already completed or that holders should go exchange now should be treated with the utmost caution as a significant red flag for misinformation. What is demonstrably real is the economic principle that national currencies can and do strengthen over time as a direct result of sound, sustained economic policy, as has been observed in the modern history of countries like Vietnam and Turkey during their periods of structural reform. Iraq is clearly engaged in a marathon effort aimed at achieving genuine stability and earning respect within the sophisticated global financial system. This journey toward modernization and accountability is by itself a development worthy of serious, continuous observation. The most prudent approach for any dinar holder or curious financial observer is to prioritize verifiable information and remain calm, ensuring that one is informed, not swept away by emotional hype. The intensity of the Tier 3 rumors has transcended the confines of specialized dinar communities, sparking genuine curiosity among broader Forex market watchers who monitor emerging economies. When a sufficient number of participants genuinely believe that a currency is poised for appreciation, the resultant spike in speculative trading volume forces major financial institutions to dedicate greater analytical resources to the asset. It encourages seasoned analysts to generate new forecasts and may even prompt large hedge funds to begin placing exploratory testing trades. Global financial markets operate on a principle akin to dominoes. When one element begins to lean, the closely linked others must adjust their posture in response. Consequently, the world is watching Iraq with renewed focus, not because an immediate revaluation is officially confirmed, but because the collective, psychological energy and market momentum surrounding the dinar have returned with an undeniable force. This interest is not merely passive, it is an active reaction to the visible shifts in Iraq's economic strategy. Furthermore, we must consider the core political and economic ambitions of the Iraqi government, which include reducing the nation's financial dependency on the US dollar, bolstering national commercial sovereignty, and attracting diverse, long-term foreign investment from a wider global pool. A stronger, more stable dinar is an essential tool that strategically supports all three of these long-term goals, but its true power is only achievable once stability and international trust are firmly cemented in the global consciousness. The past 2 years have seen Iraqi authorities commit to a more rigorous pursuit of greater banking transparency, enforcing stricter accountability measures and working diligently to rebuild the global confidence that was severely eroded by decades of recurring crisis and conflict. With every step Iraq takes toward comprehensive financial modernization, the underlying speculation naturally grows that the government may eventually grant its currency greater freedom and international recognition within the highly competitive global foreign exchange markets. This commitment to responsible, policy-driven financial advancement is inherently a slow, methodical process, but the steady, consistent progress is undeniably visible to the watchful eye. The compelling story unfolding in Iraq is no longer merely one of lingering hope. It has transitioned into a tangible, observable narrative of ongoing economic and institutional development. For a holistic view, we must also examine the powerful role of oil in this equation, which acts as a profound economic leverage point for the nation. Countries that possess robust resource exports are naturally equipped to maintain high levels of foreign currency reserves, which are absolutely crucial for protecting a currency's intrinsic value during international trade transactions. While Iraq's oil revenue has always represented an enormous economic powerhouse, its full benefits were historically undermined by widespread corruption and inefficient resource management, which limited its positive impact on the dinar and on the livelihood of ordinary citizens. In recent years, however, there has been a noticeable improvement in governmental oversight of this critical sector, leading to more transparent revenue distribution and a strategic expansion of key international contracts. This improved fiscal management grants the Central Bank of Iraq greater economic breathing room and operational flexibility, which is the foundational bedrock for any future monetary possibilities. A strong, stable, oil-backed economy is not a guarantee of a dramatic, sudden currency surge, but it is an absolute necessity without which any such move would be fundamentally impossible to sustain. Furthermore, Iraq's push for modernization involves actively integrating its banking system with established global financial standards. This includes adopting secure digital payment networks, complying with international settlement systems, and implementing sophisticated anti-money laundering technologies. This process is of colossal significance because the vast, interlinked global financial community is simply unwilling to fully integrate or accept a currency that fails to meet stringent international compliance and transparency regulations. The very basis for the Tier 3 rumors often arises precisely when Iraq achieves a new, publicly recognized compliance milestone. The undisputed reality is that these strategic banking and financial upgrades are not secretive maneuvers, they are public progress reports that reflect a firm commitment. Modern, compliant banking is the non-negotiable foundation upon which any stronger, more internationally viable currency must ultimately be built. Therefore, even in the event that the long-predicted overnight revaluation does not materialize, the comprehensive institutional improvements Iraq is undertaking today are systematically paving the way for a naturally more valuable and more resilient currency in the foreseeable future. The factor of timing is the primary driver of the current, intense speculative hype. Many reputable global financial analysts agree that the year 2025 represents a major inflection point for the world economy, a period defined by intense inflation battles, shifting geopolitical power alignments, and the rise of digital currency innovations. If Iraq harbors serious ambitions to become a major non-marginal player on the world stage, this specific moment is a critically important window to demonstrate genuine economic strength and stability. This sense of urgency is not exclusive to Iraq. Investors worldwide are emotionally and economically attuned to preparing for potentially dramatic global financial shifts. The Dinar story, positioned at the nexus of oil wealth, regional instability, and monumental structural reform, now sits squarely in the center of this powerful emotional and economic tension. We must address the widely circulated Tier 3 live claims with explicit clarity and in adherence to journalistic responsibility. A torrent of posts and videos online assert that certain private funding or exchange programs have already been activated, signaling that the process has begun. It must be stated unequivocally,